Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give you my WWE NXT review for March 22nd, 2017. Um, Sorry I'm a little late getting this video up, but like I talked about in my last video, I was just busy doing other things. But after this video, I'll officially be caught up with all WWE programming. So let me just get right into it. We had Percy Watson, Nigel McGuinness, and Tom Phillips on commentary. They were still in the CFE arena for this show, so they didn't really leave it or anything. And we had the first match on the show. It was Orny Lorcan versus Andrade Cien Almas. I thought this was a really good opening matchup. Probably my favorite match of the night. Not going to lie. I just thought it was really good. And the beginning of the match, Andrade Cien Almas keeps trying to escape from Lorcan. But Lorcan eventually catches him. He beats the crap out of him for a while. But then eventually Almas is able to get the upper hand on him. He hits a backbreaker on him, and then eventually he dominates the matchup. But then Lorcan's able to throw him out of the ring, and then he goes to hit a blockbuster off the steel steps, but Almas catches him with a scoop slam on the outside, which looks really cool. So Andrade Cien Almas continues to take control. He hits a wicked clothesline on Lorcan, but then eventually Lorcan starts to make a comeback. He hits a blockbuster out of nowhere, covers him. Almas kicks out, and then Orny Lorcan just starts going to town. He hits a bunch of hip attack splashes on the in the corner, just hits a shit ton of them. He hits a half and half suplex on Almas. Almas kicks out of that, and then Almas hits like a flip kick. I don't even know really what it was called, but he did like a back flip into a kick to the head, and tried to cover him that way, kicked out, and then he went to hit the double knees in the corner. Lorcan counted into an uppercut, and then Andrade Cien Almas really started to get frustrated, so then he eventually hit the double knees in the corner into a hammerlock DDT for the win. So Andrade Cien Almas goes over here, but I thought this was a really good match, and I really enjoyed it. Then we had a backstage promo segment with hashtag DIY, and they were pretty much talking about everything that they've done together since they've been a tag team. They talked about how they've traveled all over the world together for 12 years. They talk about how they've either traveled together, but then they travel as opponents. And then when they debuted in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics last year. And they talk about how they had never teamed together before. And they said that, they felt like they flowed really well as a team, so they started to make a name for themselves. They busted their ass. And they even talked about how the first team that they met was the Revival, and the Revival didn't really like them, and they said that they kind of felt mutual about them. So then they eventually got their first shot at the NXT Tag Team titles against the Revival in NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, but came up short, but the chase continued. And they eventually finally achieved their dreams at NXT TakeOver Toronto. They talk about how they felt like that was fate. And then eventually the fate took a turn on us, and we lost the NXT Tag Team titles to the Authors of Pain. They say that now they have a chance to come back to NXT, and they say that they're here because they love to do this, and the Authors of Pain are just here for a paycheck. And then they say that they want to thank everybody that supported them, because they claim the hashtag DIY does mean do it yourself, but that's the attitude you have to have. But it doesn't matter who you do it with. So I did like this. It was kind of like an introduction to hashtag DIY. Gave them purpose for being in the NXT tag title match. So this was good. Well, not really an introduction, but it gave us a backstory to them. And then we once again had the Fade to Black video package, and we did find out who this wrestler is. It's I don't know exactly how to say his name, but it's Aleister Black. And if you don't know who exactly, it's Tommy End. If you ever watched the United Kingdom Championship tournament that aired earlier this year, he ended up wrestling on that show. So, they've been playing hype video packages for him. And I thought this was really good, and we have an announcement about him later on in this show. Well, in this review, I should say. then we had the next match. It was Asuka versus Priscilla Jamaica, I think is how you say that. It's pretty much a jobber. And before the match starts, Asuka gets on the mic and says that Ember Moon should watch this match because this is her fate. And then she kicks Priscilla right in the head, beats the crap out of her, pretty much dominates her, hits a hip attack, and she could just easily beat her with a kick to the head. But Asuka decides not to finish her off that way. Instead, she decides to beat her up some more, and then she gets her in the Asuka lock, and Priscilla ends up tapping out. Asuka goes over, and afterwards, Asuka says some things in Japanese I didn't understand, and says, "No eclipse," because they're really putting over the fact that the eclipse is a devastating maneuver because it's taking out so many people. So I thought this was fine. It was a nice way to build up Asuka going into the NXT Women's Title match. So this was good. And then the Revival are backstage, and they talk about how they're the best tag team in the world. They're the best tag team of all time, and they talk about how they do this because they want to beat people up and take them and win money. And they talk about how they felt like that the hashtag DIY had to bust their asses to make a name for themselves. They didn't have to do that because they knew that people knew that they were the best tag team instantly when they got together. Then they talk about how they laid out the Authors of Pain, and they're not going to be doing a bunch of flips and kicks on them, but they are going to take them down by with their fists and with their minds, and because they are the best tag team. And then that was it. I thought the Revival cut a really good promo, and it was really good. It was a good way to build up to the NXT Tag Title match. I kind of wish they would have had the Authors of Pain cut a promo, but they didn't. I thought that kind of could have been something that was useful. I get but if you haven't if you had these two teams cut the promos, I kind of wish you had the Authors of Pain. So cut the promo as well. And then we had a build-up video package for the NXT Championship match coming up between Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura. So I'll just kind of talk about this. It shows Bobby Roode at his house, and he says that he likes to think that Fate can play games on him. And Bobby Roode says that Fate brought him the NXT Championship, and then he's outside his house saying "glorious," and I could just imagine what people's reaction were when he was doing that. That just looks awesome. But it doesn't just show, and it shows like the match between Nakamura and Roode for the NXT title. Nakamura taking himself out, but then it shows more than that. It shows how Nakamura and Roode were huge stars before they came to NXT, and it shows Nakamura's path in NXT. Talk about how he debuted in NXT TakeOver Dallas. It shows the match. Talks about how he possibly had the match of the year candidate. It shows him going through everybody in NXT, blasting right through him, winning the NXT Championship, twice, and then it shows Bobby Roode's path in NXT. Shows him a lot there in NXT TakeOver Dallas when Shinsuke Nakamura made his debut. Talk about how people are talking about him. It shows his debut, him cutting that promo about how he was going to make NXT great. And actually, when it shows him talking about how he wears expensive shoes and suits, it shows him actually buying a suit and stuff, which was cool. It shows him his matches with like Ty Dillinger, Andrade Cien Almas, and then it shows him being built up to that point, and then it shows the match between them, Nakamura and Roode at NXT TakeOver San Antonio, Bobby Roode talks about how Shinsuke Nakamura was the man because he's beaten everyone. Well, I'm the man that beat everybody. That makes me the god of NXT, he said that Fate brought him a good thing, and Shinsuke Nakamura said that Fate was not on his side that night. It shows what happened to Bobby Roode after he won, how he became a glorious NXT champion. Shinsuke Nakamura, he said that Fate injured him that night, but he rebuilt from it, and he wants to become the first ever three-time NXT champion. And then it kind of just shows, how asking who's going to be standing the victor. Is it going to be Bobby Roode and he's going to be the face of NXT. Or is it going to be Shinsuke Nakamura? And they even talked about, even though he has a calm surfing life, but he knows that the stresses that come with some of these extreme waves in NXT. And then it shows like the final face-off they had when they had that contract signing together. And I just thought this was a really good video package. Great way to build up to the NXT title match. And I did like that they kept saying fate. You know, fate brought him to here, fate brought him to there. So, because that's true. You know, they pretty much came into NXT at the same time. They both came in at NXT Takeover Dallas, and they both have been huge stars. And I can't wait to see the rematch between Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura for the title. So I'm excited for it. And then we had No Way Jose, Roderick Strong, and Ty Dillinger interview. And, No Way Jose talks about how Sanity's been trying to take him out. What he says, no way, Jose, that's going to happen. Roderick Strong talks about how Sanity used to have always have the numbers game, but tonight it's in their favor. And he says that he's been itching to fight Sanity since they took him out a few weeks ago. Ty Dillinger pretty much says the same thing. So I thought this was a good interview segment. And then it has another video package for Heavy Machinery. They announced that they're going to be, I can't really say debuting because they've been on NXT, but they're going to be coming on to NXT next week. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Because I have a feeling like after this NXT tag title match, triple threat, either the hashtag DIY or the Revival is probably getting called up to the main roster. So I have a feeling they're trying to build up other tag teams like Heavy Machinery because hashtag DIY and the Revival are like, two one of their top tag teams. So it's going to be a big blow. So they have to find other tag teams for the Authors of Pain to feud with for the titles, because I expect them to keep the NXT tag team titles. Then we had an interview segment with Cassius Ohno after he had lost his NXT title match to Bobby Roode, and he talks about how he didn't envision this to be the first match starting with NXT. And then we hear Elias Sampson playing his guitar, and he talks about and he starts singing a song singing about how Cassius Ohno is a failure and he doesn't belong to be champion. And he doesn't deserve to be champion, is meant to say. And then Elias Sampson tells him that he doesn't deserve to be here. And then Cassius Ohno goes off on him and says, what you need is an ass kicking. And he says that I'm going to show you that I belong to be here. And he says, and I put it all on the line tonight, but I'm willing to put a lot more on the line. So Cassius Ohno challenges him to a match where the loser has to leave NXT. And Elias Sampson accepts. So, yeah, it's kind of a downgrade that Ohno went from fighting for the NXT title, and now he's kind of fighting Elias Sampson. But I guess they need something for him to do. But I guess this match will be pretty interesting, and I totally expect Elias Sampson to lose. I hear that rumors that they want to call him up to the main roster, which I don't really get why. I like him and all, but I don't think his character's. I don't think he's ready to be on the main roster yet. I mean, he was gone for a while, and his character doesn't really. I don't think his character will connect to the main roster. I feel like when he comes out, people will be like, "What's this?" And if he's gonna debut anywhere, he needs to probably go to SmackDown, because if he goes to Raw, he'll get really lost in the shuffle. I think SmackDown's probably the best suit for him, but we'll have to wait and see. But I definitely think people when he comes on, people are gonna be like, "Who is this?" And then Andrade Cien Almas gets interviewed, and they announced that it's gonna be Almas versus Aleister Black. So that's going to be his debut match, and he just pretty much cut the promo on him. I couldn't really understand a lot of what he was saying, so I apologize. Then we had the main event. It was a 6-man tag team match. Eric Young, Alexander Wolf, and Killian Dane with Nikki Cross versus Roderick Strong, No Way Jose, and Ty Dillinger. I thought this was a good 6-man tag. I like the first one they had a little bit better, I think. But the faces pretty much beat the crap and dominate Alexander Wolf for a while. And then Roderick Strong hit the flip dive over the top rope, and he comes off really awkwardly on his leg. I forgot to mention too, they also brawled before the matchup, and Killian Dane started off with Roderick Strong, But continuing with the match, eventually, um, um, No Way Jose's in the win, and Alexander Wolf kicks him in the back of the neck and just takes him out, so the heels get the heat on No Way Jose for a while. But then eventually he's able to get the hot tag on Roderick Strong. He starts going off on Eric Young, and he goes to cover him, but Killian Dane breaks it up with a senton, and then the match just breaks down into chaos, so the referee just throws the match out, so nobody, I don't think, won or lost. And which I guess makes sense. You don't really want to have Sanity lose, and you don't really want to have Strong, Jose, and Dillinger get laid out again, so I thought the finish was fine. And everybody starts fighting with each other. Killian Dane goes to charge at the steel post and take out Roderick Strong, but he moves out of the way. And then No Way Jose takes out Alexander Wolf, so it's just down to Ty Dillinger and Eric Young. And Ty Dillinger just starts firing away at Eric Young. He goes to hit the tiebreaker on him, but then Nikki Cross gets on the back of Ty Dillinger, and he like puts him in a sleeper hold, and he's trying to fight out of it. But then this other woman comes out and takes out Nikki Cross and beats the crap out of her, hits a kick instantly right on her head, and this woman looks probably crazier than Nikki Cross does. It's pretty cool. And afterwards, No Way Jose hits a pump-up punch onto Alexander Wolf, and then everybody, Dillinger, Strong, and No Way Jose all work together to get rid of Killian Dane, and it ends with the faces standing tall and reigning supreme, and that was it. The big question I have is, who was this woman that debuted tonight with Nikki Cross? Who is that woman? But we'll probably find out next week. But overall, I thought NXT was a pretty good show, actually. It was actually pretty easy to sit through. I enjoyed the first opening match with Orny Lorcan and Andrade Cien Almas. I like the way they built up to the NXT tag title match. The NXT title match build-up was good. The women's stuff was even pretty good this week. Ono's interview segment wasn't bad, and the main event was a pretty good match. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode. If I had to rate it, I rated it 8 out of 10. But my only complaint is they didn't really add a lot of matches to TakeOver, and it's next week, so that's my only complaint about it. But other than that, that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later. Make sure to subscribe to all my stuff, Owen the Talkinator, CM Brothers, and this channel itself. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.